Let's take you back now to SABC News reporter Lulama Matya, who is at the house of the former minister. Lulama, I do understand that you have his nephew with you.
Welcome back to Cape Town at Pinelands, Bongiwe. Yes, I am joined by Mayibuye Sokupa, who's going to talk to us more about the late Membathisi Mdladlana. We know that he was the first president of SATU. Later on, he was one of the first members of parliament in 1994, and then he became the Minister of Labour. He was also an ambassador in Burundi, as well as High Commissioner to Canada. But besides that rich history of government, of being a statesman, he was a family man, an uncle, a father.
Good day, Bongiwe. My uncle, yes, he wore many hats for government. I think the biggest joy for us was having him as one of us, as a family member, as a father, as an uncle, as many things, as a character, as an entertainer. But the beauty of it was always organized in his demeanor, in everything he did. There was almost always protocol. I remember that he started off as a teacher before he became an activist. And many a times he'd often say to me, I should not address him as a teacher, but I should acknowledge that he's actually a principal. And he appreciated education, and whenever he saw any of us as nephews and nieces, he would often question, what are you doing? What are you studying? What are you going to do? And then are you going to find work with what you're studying? And one of my fondest memories of him is when my parents returned from exile. Well, I returned before them, but when they returned with my sister, when she was about to start university, he literally fetched her from the airport and escorted her to university in University of Cape Town, where he helped her settle. And whenever my parents called to actually find out how she was doing, she'd say, no, uncle is taking care of me. So he was that type of a person.
I suppose as a former principal, he was also a disciplinarian.
Oh, of course he was. He spared the road, but you would feel the punishment. One of his means of punishment was taking away the freedom or minimizing it. So you could be punished and you would be able to go to a party, but 8 p.m. you must be back at home. In all he's doing, when you had to give him feedback or report of anything, you felt as if you were writing an essay or a thesis, because you had to detail that, okay, I got up, I did this, I did that, and you couldn't jump and say, okay, I got dressed and then I walked to the shop, and then you'd always interject, did you have breakfast, did you do this, did you do that? So that's the type of uncle we remember.
An uncle with such a personality, It must be saddened when you came back from work this morning, overnight shift, to get this news.
Yes, definitely. It was heartbreaking. It's one of those things that we inevitably cannot escape. But yes, we are still in shock. We are still trying to recover, and I believe he hasn't sunk in because he was healthy. He only had the niggling ailments that most people of his age would usually experience, and his passing was a real shock to us.
You told us earlier on that former Western Cape ANC chairperson Mayibuye Sokupa, who was close to him, was here also today. The ANC in the province, how is it as well?
Well, so far, I believe much of the attention is being given to the late minister in Tsanin, Minister Mboweni's funeral. But Minister Skwatsha, former chairperson of the ANC, Mr. Skwatsha, was indeed here. And he came with a message from the provincial leadership of the ANC. And so far, we have received a message from the Secretary General of the ANC, Mr. Pinelands. And we believe that when the time comes, they will make a turn and come and see us. And we appreciate that they have allowed us time as a family to sit, receive the news, and decide how we go forward.
Other family members from his born in the Eastern Cape, Kiskama Hook, came to Cape Town. He's a resident here, but he's known all over, even from the Eastern Cape as well, because he's got a footprint and well representation there in that province.
That is so true. We have contacted all family members, and I still receiving messages right now. We have family members coming in from the Eastern Cape, some in Gauteng, and wherever they are. I think we're quite spread all over. We've had a few messages coming from abroad to places where he's been, where he's worked. If you remember, he was once in Burundi, and he has spent a considerable amount of time in Canada. So we've been receiving messages, but obviously, a person of his stature, we cannot share all the responsibilities, or I cannot be the only person receiving the messages. So it's spread out amongst the few of us who are here today receiving the news and trying to get the ball rolling, building up to his farewell.
Talk to us about his love for his political home, which is the ANC.
Well, that is a relationship that you'll never sever. I'm sure when he gets to his final resting place, he's going to ask for the first ANC office and actually sign up. And I can see him being the chairperson. But he loved the ANC and he respected the ANC. He felt membership and ownership to the ANC, and he was extremely loyal to the organization, not only for what it's done, but only for what it's stood for and what it still stands for. He appreciates what the Freedom Charter actually stands for, and has always felt that the Freedom Charter is probably a good footprint for what we call South African democracy.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Well, Bongiwe, that was Mayibuye Sokupa. He is a nephew of the late Minister Membathisi Mdladlana. It's the family for now that is here. If I can ask cameraman Hubert to zoom out these cars that are outside here, it's the family, as he was saying that because of the passing of former minister as well as former Reserve Bank Governor Tito Mboweni, the ANC now is focusing on him, and they know that later on at the right time the party is going to play its role here in the Membathisi Mdladlana family. For now, it is the family that have gathered inside, as well as people that are inside the house, still digesting the passing, as Mayibuye was saying that as the family, it's saddened because of the role that the late minister used to play in the family as a disciplinarian, as someone who loved education because he was a teacher, and for his love for the organization that he served, which is the ANC. With that, back to you at the studio.
All right, that's my colleague there, Lulama Matya, SABC News reporter. And of course, just wrapping up there, speaking about what's taking place in Limpopo there as preparations are underway for the funeral of the late former Reserve Bank Governor Tito Mboweni. And now, of course, they're dealing with the passing of the former minister there, Membathisi Mdladlana. President Cyril Ramaphosa saying that, and I quote, "We have recently been visited by a succession of departures of veterans of our liberation struggle and pioneers of the dawn of our democracy." So certainly we'll continue then to bring you developments on the story.